The 7 investigators were the first to expose an adoption scheme centered in Macomb County that's now under federal investigation.
Well, now one of the young women who gave up her baby for adoption is coming forward, talking exclusively to 7 investigator Heather Catallo.
We have been trying to talk on the record with a birth mother ever since we learned about this federal probe. Many mothers did not want to speak publicly, but now Mariah is ready to tell her story. Ever since FBI agents raided Tara Lynn Lee's New Haven home in November, the 7 investigators have been following the threads of this cross-country adoption scheme. Lawyers involved tell us about 140 families across the country may be victims of Lee. The feds say the 37-year-old has defrauded couples from Colorado to Georgia, all hoping to adopt babies. Court records show Lee allegedly took more than $200,000 from the prospective adoptive parents. Tara Lee and her business, Always Hope Pregnancy and Education Center, never had a state license to work on adoptions, and she's now charged with federal wire fraud.
You just took a 19-year-old pregnant girl and filled your pockets. That's what you did. And you ruined my life. Because now every day I'm going to have to wake up and wonder, like, what is she doing?
This is a young woman who placed her daughter up for adoption through Tara Lee. Because she was a close family friend of Lee's, at first, she did not want us to reveal her identity.
She needs to be stopped.
But now, Mariah Day is ready to talk about Tara.
Is she a predator?
Yeah. Yes. Because who does that? I don't want to feel like a victim. And admitting what happened and getting a birth mom perspective out there was very important to me.
Mariah says as soon as she found out she was pregnant, she turned to her longtime friend Lee because she believed Lee was a social worker. FBI agents say Lee's social work diploma from Northwestern University is fake. Lee also has a criminal history for check fraud.
She had me signing papers at 5 or 6 weeks pregnant.
Adoption experts say legitimate agencies never match birth moms with adoptive parents until at least 12 weeks due to miscarriage concerns. Mariah says Lee told her to lie to the adoptive parents about her due date.
Why do you think she wanted you to lie about how far along you were?
Because the moment I matched, she could start charging people for money.
Mariah later told the adoptive parents the truth. At one point during the pregnancy, Mariah says she wanted to back out of the adoption, but she says Lee convinced her that her daughter would have a better life with parents who could afford to care for her.
And I just kept telling myself, if you can just deal with these feelings, if you could just get through it, if you can just do it for her, she'll have everything that you can't give her.
Mariah says she learned after she gave birth that Tara had told the adoptive parents that they could leave the hospital with the baby without letting Mariah say goodbye.
I just stood there and watched them walk out. And I remember I called Tara and I was so sad because like in my mind, I just couldn't believe that they just went through this whole 9 months with me.
In previous interviews, Tara Lee's attorney has described Lee as an adoption coach and an advocate for birth moms.
She never had a license to do this work, and she took a lot of money from people. So what's your response to that?
Well, coaches don't have to have a license. These coaches are basically help bridge between the adoptive mother and the process. They might be the only one in the birth room.
But Mariah says Lee did not go to doctor's appointments with her, and she says Lee left her alone for much of her labor. Mariah says she's made peace with her decision to give up her daughter and now has a wonderful relationship with the adoptive parents. She says now she just wants Lee to stop hurting families.
I want you to be buried under the jail because I don't kiss my daughter every night because you manipulated me into thinking that I was incapable of doing it and being a mother. And I don't want to live in fear anymore.
If she's convicted of the federal wire fraud charge, Tara Lee faces up to 20 years in prison. We will continue to follow this case, and if you have any information about this adoption probe, please email us at tips@WXYZ.com or call 248-827-9252. I'm Heather Catallo, 7 Action News.